guys, good evening. Welcome to episode 2 of Tales to Testimonies. Today's guest is someone very special and dear to me. He's my brother, but more than that, he's a pastor, he's a worship leader, he's a songwriter, and he's a proud nurse, one of the proudest nurses that I have ever known. And I'm so glad to bring him and introduce him in front of you and have a good time with him today as he ready be expectant to hear good things from him. He'll be joining. Yes, we have him here. Hi, Atata.
Hello humans. How are you?
We're good. How are you doing?
Brilliant, actually. Very excited and nervous at the same time. So,
It's good to be nervous.
yeah, this is new for me.
So I would give you this opportunity. I already introduced you, but given an opportunity, how will you introduce yourself?
Oh, lover of Christ, super happy husband, and like you said, a very proud nurse. I'm very proud to be a nurse. Yeah.
Okay. So shall we jump into questions right away?
Yeah, let's do it. Hello, Amit bhai.
So, the question number 1 is, tell me about yourself, your childhood, your family, if you have siblings, and a little about yourself from the start.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a younger brother. His name is Benson. He lives in Dubai. We had a very, like every brother chemistry, we had it. A lot of fighting when we were small. Grew up as rivals, but now we love each other a lot. So I used to be a rebel. That as long as so up until fifth grade, I was a very studious, like well obedient kind of a kid. But I remember I was being bullied quite a lot because I used to be those front bench guys. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but for some reason it affected me. So I used to have my hair partitioned, like properly tucked in, oiled every day, sitting in the first bench, answering all the questions. So for some reason, after the fifth standard, I started getting bullied for that. So I realized, or rather, I thought, which was wrong, that the best way to avoid being bullied is to bully someone else. So I slowly moved to the back benches, and by the time I reached 8th standard, 9th standard, I was amongst the group who used to bully other people. Not proud of it now, but that's what I used to do. And got involved into a lot of activities which were not needed, but just that, when you're young, you have that feel that you want to feel powerful or you want to feel valued and you demand respect from people. So I got that done, but from the wrong source, of course. And I got involved. So the place where I used to live was that's where one of the what do you say underworld gangs used to emerge from. So we had a lot of influential people in that area. So I thought the best way to be noticed or to instill fear in people's heart that okay, Bonnie is coming was to be a part of their group. So I got involved with them up until my 11th, 12th standard. Yeah, so got into a lot of fights, street fights. I don't know if you've seen them, but I used to be one of them. And then after 12th standard, I think my father realized that it's not going to work out if we continue to live in this area. So we moved from a place called Chembur, Tilaknagar, to a place called Borivali. And my friend circle changed. I used to go to a college called as Casey College, where it was in Churchgate. You won't imagine. So my reputation was so bad because I used to be an absolute rebel. I used to fight with my father constantly because in my head I am a college-going guy who can make things happen. I don't have to depend on my father. That's the mentality I came in. So who are you to tell me what to do? You don't know what's right. I know what's right.
Okay.
That's the mindset I went with. And then he decided. So I still remember the first couple of days in college. He came to college to make sure I was sitting the first couple of rows because he desperately wanted to see his son being revived back to that, bright student that he was. Backfired big time because now I wanted to be a cool kid. I wanted to be very cool. So I started off with all sorts of things. And then I went to Bangalore for nursing. I was there for 5 years. So that's where so I used to be very lean and thin. And I remember someone telling me,
Used to be.
I actually have put on a lot of weight. So
Well,
honestly,
now that I can't imagine how it was then.
oh, I was like skin and bones. If you look at me, it's like, हड्डी पे skin को laminate किया हुआ है. That's it. So that's how I used to be. So someone advised me, if you drink beer, you'll put on
Oh,
weight. Now that's the stupidest advice I've ever heard. But then I took it because I was desperate to put on weight. Because when
people
you're,
don't try it. People don't
yeah,
try it.
don't
It
try
doesn't
it.
work.
It does not work. It does not work. So, but then again, I was 22, I think. Yeah, 22, 23. And that age, you want to build up. You want to build some muscles. So I started gym, um, started drinking, stopped gym, continued drinking, got into got into alcohol big time, started experimenting with alcohol, never did drugs, never tried smoking, but got hooked on to alcohol big time. And yeah, and it backfired. It backfired big time. So I remember I used to lie to my father saying that I need money for exams and I need money for books.
Oh.
And knowing how my father was struggling because I come from not even a middle class, but in between a lower and a middle
Up,
class.
upper middle
No, no,
class sort of.
no, no,
Okay.
no,
Low.
not the niche.
Okay,
So
so that
I
was
remember
around my
how, yeah.
second question, that you were
Oh,
not
okay.
always in UK. You were not born and
No,
stay.
no,
Okay.
no. It was a tough journey, but worth it. When I look at it now, worth it, but not proud of a lot of things that I've done. Especially lying to my father and making him send me money, which he eventually found out. He was
Oh.
not happy about it, but then, yeah, I did confess it to him. I told him that I got hooked on to alcohol. But once I finished my studies in Bangalore and I came back in Mumbai in 2009, I had stopped alcohol because that's when I had a friend of mine. I don't know if she's watching this, but Kathy. Hi, Kathy, if you're here. So she introduced me to the Lord. She took me to a church, and I
Praise God for
remember,
such presents.
yeah, yeah, some friends are valuables, yeah. So I remember because I was born in a Christian family, never went to church, never read the Bible. Mom used to force us to sit and pray at night times. But she had her eyes closed. She was praying. Me and my brother were fooling around. Um,
Oh, your brother was in with you?
oh no,
Is
no,
it?
no, yeah, 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 100%. That is the only note in which we were together. Cricket is one thing that united me and my brother. So for us, Sunday morning means cricket. So we used to get
Oh,
out at 7 o'clock in the morning with a bat in our shorts, with a bat and a ball, and go up till straight up till 6 o'clock until it's dark.
oh. So you're
So
never the spiritual leader in
no,
your
no,
childhood
no,
and
no,
all.
no. I had nothing to do with the Bible. Like I said, when I went to Bangalore, I think it was in 2007 that she actually spoke to me and she said, "Why don't you just come to church with me?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, let's go. I mean, I'm not going to lose anything." So I went to church, and that's the first time I actually heard the story of the prodigal son.
Oh,
Whether,
like
yeah, whether
from all these years of being Christian.
the only thing I knew was John 3:16. Yeah, John 3:16 is the only thing I knew, I ever heard. And then Prodigal Son was the first time, like, and that is at the age of 22, 23 was the first time when I actually heard about the Prodigal
Wow.
Son. and that touched me. It broke me. And the first worship song I ever heard was "Here I Am to Worship, Here I Am to Bow Down,"
Wow.
Light of the World.
Light of the
Um,
world.
and that was immediately after the message. So I was already broken after the message, about when I heard the story that how the father was more than happy to receive a son who had ruined his lifestyle, and now he's accepted by the father. And his response saying that it's okay even if you don't accept me as your son. Let me be just a servant in your house, and I'll be more than happy. That hit me. That hit me hard. It stays with me. I mean, this is like 10, 12 years ago. I still remember who the preacher was. I still remember what the message was. And that hit me real hard. Every time I stop reading the Bible and I stop at the prodigal son, it brings back a lot of memories. So 2009, accepted the Lord. Still continued with my old ways.
Oh,
Yeah. Everything was still the same, except for the fact that now I can say that I've accepted the Lord. But my lifestyle was exactly the same until it kept hitting. So I kept having encounters on and off, on and off, on and off. I kept having encounters with the Lord. Didn't establish a relationship though, which is what most of us miss. We
yeah.
are more happy with encounters, but God
Encounters.
is not what. Yeah, God is not happy with just giving you encounters. He's more happy when you have a relationship. No,
True.
I remember how God had an encounter with Moses. That was an encounter, but he didn't leave him after that. After that, Moses built a relationship with him, and that dawned upon me quite late. So I continued to live my life as I was. Yeah, I'll just wait for your questions because I'm answering one question a lot. Yeah.
It's okay. You actually answered three of my questions in the
Oh,
first
did I?
question.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm really sorry. Yeah.
So that's okay. That's pretty much good. The
Yeah.
next question I would be like all this, and then you came to Lord. What was that point? I would want to know that you actually realized that it's more than just encounter moments, but relationship that I have to maintain with God. And when it all like came together for you.
So I remember I was at work. I used to work with Asha Parekh Hospital, and I was in the ICU. And we used to have this 1 hour break. And I was seated in an AC room. Like I said, I had accepted Christ, but my ways were still of the world. So even though I was expected to be a part of His kingdom and work for His kingdom, I'm still working for the world. I stopped alcohol. I didn't consume alcohol after that, after accepting Him. But lifestyle was more or less the same. The language that I spoke, because like I said, my background, I used
Yeah.
to hang out with those kind of people. So the Hindi galis, I could invent them. Like, yeah. So my language, and plus I'm from Mumbai, so my language was the same. My body language, the way I responded to people, like I reacted. I was quick in reacting. So you poke me, I'll poke you back. That was so I was quick at reactions rather than responding and understanding. So I remember I was at work and I was sitting in a nice AC room. So we have this cubicle when you have your breaks. So I used to
Okay.
sit there and I fell asleep. It's centralized AC, yeah, like proper AC, and I'm just trying to keep it as short as possible. I am sweating. I'm literally
Oh.
sweating. And in my dream, I don't know if you have ever had those dreams, but you feel that your dream is actually real, it's happening to you. And I'm sweating and sweating. And I think that was the first time I think I've heard the Lord's audible voice just twice. And that was the first time I heard his audible voice. And it is not what you expect God to speak. It's not like my beloved son or my proud servant. He said, "Stop playing with fire." I, it, and it's happening to me. Like it's real, and I'm sweating, and I'm like,
Come again.
he tells
Your
me,
voice break in between. He
sorry.
said.
The first voice that I heard of the Lord telling me was, "Stop playing with fire." Now I don't know if
Oh.
you can relate to that, but that hit me, and I was scared. I was really scared. And then I went to my pastor, I spoke to him, and then I had a lot of emptying to do. And I said, okay, I'm willing. Now, what happened was, um, at that age, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone to teach
Okay.
me the Bible. I didn't have anyone to tell me how to form a relationship. Yes, it is important that you sit in the presence of God and you talk. I can spiritualize the whole conversation, but I'm just talking the real stuff. I needed someone to tell me how do I go about it. So that's when my pastor, Pastor Bharat, was more than happy to sit and talk to me. So I had questions. I had left, right, and center. I questioned him. I told him, so this was my funda. You show me verses from the Bible, and I will accept it instantly. So then and now, I don't have problem taking corrections. If I have to submit to someone, I can submit 100%. So I told him, I'm willing to submit 100% if you help me to grow. And he said, yeah, I'm willing to do. And he said, let's take a step by step. Yeah. So
Nice.
that's how the journey started. That's how I realized, okay, Sunday to Sunday, let me at least attend church every Sunday to Sunday. So that was my first step, attending church every Sunday to Sunday, just to be in the
Wow.
attendance book. And then, yeah, things started changing. I'll wait for your question. Sorry.
So, thank you for sharing that part. So, when
Yeah.
did the transition happen from you being just a regular Sunday going or continuously regularly going Sunday being to the from the congregation towards the stage towards leading worship? How did that happen?
Okay. So I had a dream where I saw um, leading people into worship, and I saw a huge crowd, and I was leading them into worship. Now, again, I was new. I was a newborn baby. I was feeding on milk. I didn't know it was from the Lord, or if it is my mind, or if I am dreaming, or if it's my imagination. But then, nevertheless, it came to me as a dream. So I took it to my pastor's wife, and I told her, we call her Mama. So I said, Mama, this is what I saw. So she said, guess what? This is just a confirmation because I saw this long back. I said,
Oh,
okay. I said, good. So when can I start? So for me, it was, when you're in a congregation, when you're from the congregation perspective, um, everything that your leader does seems like a cakewalk until you're put in that
yeah.
spot. Like ये क्या
Preach
preach कर
it.
रहा है मैं या ये क्या preach कर रहा है इससे तो अच्छा मैं कर सकता हूँ ये क्या
True,
worship leader कर
true.
रहा है इससे अच्छा गाना मैं गा सकता हूँ but when you put in that spot that's when so I started off and I started off first couple of weeks my church was very happy because they were hearing me for the first time and the people who know me they know me as someone who's full of energy and very vibrant and I can dance. So I used to put in my steps and everything and I tried to make it all jazzy as possible. I got a lot of appreciation from people. People were clapping for me. People were gave me shabashi. People were like, "Arey yaar, tu kidhar tha itna saal," etc., etc., etc. And I was on cloud nine. And this is after just first couple
Oh,
of weeks.
oh.
And I'm like, I'm in my head. I'm like, I've arrived. Like, this is ministry is. This is what ministry is. You do what you have to do, and then people will fall for it. And then I remember, so after every service, we have something called as a review meeting. So my
Okay.
pastor took me to the cabin and he said, how does it feel? I said, I feel amazing. I led people into worship. I brought the presence of God down. And he said, you are way far away from being a worshiper. You're just a performer.
Oh,
and
wow.
that and that hit me. I remember I am maybe 24, 25. I'm crying like a baby in his cabin. I said, you are my pastor, how can you even tell me that? You gave me this opportunity and now you're telling me I'm just a performer. He said, so his response was, you told me that you're open for corrections. I'm giving you a correction.
Wow.
I said,
Wow.
yeah. I said, but I was expecting an appreciation. He said, no, you can either get the appreciative side of me, or you can get the honest side of me. If you want if you want me to be a spiritual father, expect the honest side. So I ran to his wife, pastor's wife, crying, and I said, "This is what pastor said," and I'm forgetting that the pastor's wife is actually, you know, I'm talking
Honest,
about
right?
her. I'm
Her
talking about
husband.
her husband. Her husband. So I said, "This is what pastor told me." He calls me a performer. I remember for 3 months I did not mount the pulpit. I did not
Oh,
lead. Yeah, I did not lead in worship. Not because he stopped me, but because it hurt me. It hurt my ego. It hurt my pride.
wow.
Um, but then he kind of felt bad as well because I was a newborn. So he maybe thought, okay, maybe I was too harsh. He wasn't. It's just that I was not willing to hear what the truth was. I wanted to hear what I wanted to hear, and I didn't get to hear that, and it backfired. He said, and he's not someone who can sing or play any instruments. He said, "Bro, this is where you need to understand that ministry is about relationship." And I realized then I can lead people only if I'm being led by the presence of God. If
True.
I'm not led, I am not qualified to lead. And every time now, when I get an opportunity to lead people into worship, I keep reminding myself it is important that you are led, only then you can lead. It's just like
Yes.
Moses. I
Wow.
love Moses. I love Moses where he says, God, if these are your people, if you don't go with us, I'm not taking another step.
Nothing step. True.
And I think that is applicable when you preach, when you worship, when you're ushering, when you're serving someone, everywhere. God, if you're not led, don't lead.
Oh, wow.
As
That's
simple as
powerful
that.
word.
Now, sometimes you may not feel like that you're being led, but you still lead and you still see things happening. That's not because of the anointing that you carry, but that's because God's name is at stake. And God honors his name. As simple as that. And I have felt it so many times. Like, God, I didn't even pray. I have not even read the word of God. It's been weeks that I haven't even spoken to you. And you give me an opportunity, I lead worship, and this happens. What is this? Like, my name is at stake. Just because of your foolishness, I'm not going
Wow.
to ruin my name. His name is at stake. So after that, I've been very cautious, very sincerely, um, trying my best, even now, to not to be get carried away by the appreciation of people, but to make sure that I please God. So every time I lead worship now, once I step out, I have this few minutes with God where I ask, did I please you? Did that make you happy? If it has, then that 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes of set that I led was worth. If not, it's absolute waste of time. So that is what, and since then I started, and I was a happy church guy working in the church, within the church, never went outside to lead worship or anything, opportunity. So, but I was happy. I was happy because I was growing. My relationship with the Lord was growing. And yeah, that's how it all began.
So you think that stepping down from the stage for 2 to 3 months actually helped you value the stage?
It made me miss the stage.
Okay.
Uh, but I think I was too young to value it because
Hmm.
if you're taking a break to reflect upon yourself, then it makes sense. But if you're just taking a break because your ego is hurt,
Hurt. Right.
and you just wait for someone to stroke your ego and make you feel good, and then tell you, you know what, I was wrong. At that point, I wanted my pastor to say, "Son, I was wrong. You know, you are right. Go ahead, lead worship." Uh, that did not happen because I had given him the right to correct me, and I had told him, do whatever is needed to make sure that my walk with the Lord is right. And as shepherds, see, we forget that a pastor's responsibility is not just to preach, but it is to make sure that he feeds his sheep with the right pastures. That's what he was doing. Now, I didn't like the taste of the grass That's okay, but it's still good for my health. And I took it. Took me
Wow.
time, but it took me time, but I took it. And then I moved on from there. And once I was able to take the correction, once I took it in the right sense, things started falling in place.
So how much of the person that you are now and you have turned into now has uh, the credit and the piece of it goes to your pastor or your mentor for it?
A lot of it, because I don't know if people listening here, they have spiritual fathers. Please find someone who can speak into you. When you're wrong, you need someone to tell you. Because there are times where you shut your ears and you don't even want to listen to the voice of God. Because our human mind is designed in such a way it makes you feel. Even Adam and Eve, at that point, they felt that there's nothing wrong in eating the fruit.
Yeah.
So that's how our mind is designed. So sometimes you need someone to tell you that what you're doing is actually stupidity. Um, so my pastor helped me to take that first step, but then the journey, he left it to me. He said, I'm just gonna help you. That's it. Um, Wherever think you need help, I'm gonna help you. I'm here for you. But the journey you decide. Like there's a time until which I remember preaching from this word. It says there's a time until when you can feed on milk, but there's a time where you move on to meat.
Yes.
There's a time where you can be immature, but there's a time, like I was saying, when I was, let's say, 5 years old, and I'm sitting and playing kitchen, like most of the girls used to do. They like to play kitchen, and they're doing stuff. It seems cute when you're at the age of 5. It seems cute, but
Yeah.
if you're 25 and you sit and do that, people will like, there's something wrong.
Oh,
There's
true.
something wrong. What has happened is you've not grown. You're still there. So he's helped me in my growth. I would contribute a lot. But now what has happened is, because I am here in UK and he's back there in India, we don't get to talk often. But I've got plenty of mentors actually. I look up to a lot of people now. They may not even know it, but bits and pieces I pick it from a lot of people, and it helps me to grow.
I would want to second it, like as you mentioned, if to the people who don't have a mentor, they should get a mentor. But even having a mentor or having a pastor or having a voice in your life, it's so important to hear them and
Yeah,
take that correction. Like
yeah,
many a times when we don't like a pastor or leader, like how harsh your pastor was on you, you could have easily moved to another pastor. Okay, I don't like this church. There are many churches in the city. So
yeah, yeah.
how it helped you to, even after not hearing what you wanted to hear from the church and from the pastor, but it still made you stay in your house or in your mother church.
Um, so purely that was because my mom used to continue going to that church. And then this is the first time that my father had actually accepted the Lord and he agreed to go to church. So I also went along. And then eventually I sat with him, I spoke to him, and I realized that what this man wants for me is for my good. I mean, he does not intend to harm me. And at that point, we had plenty of worship leaders in the church. So he said, I mean, like, I started thinking, like, ideally, he doesn't need me to be there on the pulpit to lead worship and all. There are people who are doing it, and they're doing it gracefully, they're doing it beautifully, and they're doing it with the presence of God. So they're doing it right. But here's a man who's willing to give me an opportunity. But at the same time, I've given him a right to correct me, a right to show me the path. Um, because I always believe if you don't have directions, you're just a wanderer.
Wow, so true.
We all need directions. Without directions, we're just wanderers. We keep wandering here and there, assuming that we are actually reaching our destination, but we're not. We're just going round and round. So I gave him that. I gave him that right. So that made me to go back to the church, and yeah, eventually when he saw that my relationship with the Lord was growing, where I was actually sitting and doing Bible study. And because then I was only a Sunday to Sunday goer, but then I started attending Bible study. I was sitting and reading the word. I was finding out questions. I was asking him. So then he realized, okay, now looks like he wants to grow and not just have the limelight on the stage.
Lamp stage. Wow.
Yeah. So that stage and the limelight, it can eat you up. It can literally eat you up. You
Wow.
definitely
So
need
correctly,
someone to tell you.
so correctly said.
Yeah.
Moving on the next question, tell me about something about your job. You work as a nurse, and being a Malayali, I have been surrounded all my life with nurses, but I
Yeah.
have not seen, especially when it comes to male nurse, I have not seen anybody. I won't even say I have seen fewer. I haven't seen anybody who is so proud about being a nurse. Like your profile says, an angel with a stethoscope. Like
Yeah.
what like how it works, like it's so important the job we have and the work we do, like being proud of it. So there are so few in numbers that actually are proud of the things that they are doing, the work they are doing. So what
Yeah.
is that it you are like it?
Honestly, I never wanted to become a nurse. Like, if you ask me as a youngster, what would you like to become when you grow up? I would never say a nurse
A nurse, so true.
because my mindset was as well that it was the women who were doing
Nursing.
the job of a nurse until my aunt, who was in the US, she told me there's a plenty of scope for male nurses. Now I was wondering, what do male nurses do? But yeah, so I started off with nursing, did it for the money. Started off because there was sorry, there was a lot of money abroad, um, and eventually fell in love with it. To be very honest, I stayed in a hospital. I was working with a hospital for almost 7 to 8 years with a salary of 10,000 rupees, which is very less
Less.
compared to the financial burden that I was carrying. Um, so 10,000 rupees meant nothing. And I constantly had people telling me, why don't you switch jobs? Because I used to work in a BPO to get that
Yes.
fast cash,
Yes.
and I was really good at it. Like I could really grow in that field, but my dad was never for it. He's like, oh, it's gonna shut down, and the situations were like that. Like
That
a
true.
BPO can shut down anytime.
Anytime.
So yeah, so he didn't see any job security in it. But I fell in love with the profession, um, because it gave me an opportunity to serve people who were neglected.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't feel respected, to be very honest. I don't think nurses, ward boys, maushis, um, because next to God is doctors. I'm
Yes.
really sorry. I don't mean to offend anyone, but that's how people portray it. But nurses, ward boys, and maushis are not valued as they're supposed to be
So
anywhere
true.
across the globe. Anywhere across the globe. And just because I'm in London doesn't make me, oh wow, kitna respect milta hoga. No, it's the same. Yeah, respect during the whole COVID-19 situation, we are getting a lot of respect. But before that, it was nothing. Um, but I fell in love with the profession because I have a lot of people making fun of me. Oh, तू उल्टियाँ साफ करता है. तू लोगों के waste साफ करता है. I said, yeah, I do it because the family is too disgusted to do it. I do it and I do it happily. I don't crib about it. It's 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 human to serve. That's what we are called to do. Now, how you serve, if your definition of serving is only mounting the pulpit and preaching every
Wow.
Sunday to Sunday, then your definition is wrong. Um, so I did it, and I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it. Right now, I work with the care of the elderly. So I love elderly people. So all my patients right now are 65 and above.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Yeah, the scenario over here is very different because in India we love our family. We don't want to see our mom dads go away. But over here it's not like that. Like some of the elderly people, they remain single throughout their life. They don't even have a family. When they pass away, there is no one to come and even cry standing. So it gives us the opportunity to stand in that gap. And Oh, I love you too, Pastor Subi. Sorry, I had to pause there. Pastor Subi ka message hai. Another mentor of mine. So, yeah, so I do that. I do that now, and I do it not because of the money. Let me tell you, you think, oh, the money is a lot. No, it's still more or less the same. How much you earn, you kind of spend more than that because the cost of living is high. But I love what I do. I love talking to them. I love interacting with them. Most of them have dementia, they have Alzheimer's, they have Parkinson's, they cannot feed by themselves, they cannot take a glass of water and drink when they're thirsty. They're dependent on you for anything and everything. They cannot move their legs in the bed. You have to go and move it for them. Um, I don't know. I think this level of when you serve someone this way, it gives you satisfaction. It makes you feel good about your profession. So now it's no longer about the money. Yes, I do need the money um, for my day-to-day existence, but now it's no longer about the money. It's more about loving the profession and loving the people, loving loving to serve the people, and I love doing it.
So brings us to the next one. That was beautiful. I have seen very few people explaining their profession like with all that heart that you have. That's so nice. I really hope some people take that. Like wherever you work, wherever you serve, it's
Yeah.
beautiful and you're blessed to be there. Just embrace it as it comes.
Mm.
So
I
the
remember
next beautiful,
the biggest, the
sorry.
funniest thing I always get to hear. Oh, so you're a male nurse. I said, I am a male by default, and yes, I am a nurse. You don't have to ask, are you a male nurse? Are you a nurse? That is enough. So anytime next anyone wants to ask me something, are you a nurse? Yeah, I am a nurse. Are you a male nurse? Male by default, yeah. Sorry, next question. The next question is, oh, so do you also wear skirts? No, we don't wear skirts. Okay. But rest everything remains the same. Saving people's life, yeah.
And the issue is,
Let's go.
hmm. So the next question is kind of beautiful. Like I know like people who don't know he's married and he has a beautiful wife who I
Mm,
absolutely adore, and he's
yeah.
jealous about that thing.
A
But
lot of
I want
people
to
adore
know.
me. Mm.
I want to know how you met your wife. How was your wedding? Like, was it a fairy
Oh,
tale, perfect story, and your wedding was all good, all nice?
okay. So because this is like you've given me the opportunity to pour out my heart, it may sound cheap. Please, guys, I am not cheap, but it may sound cheap. So me and my wife could not stand each other the first time we saw each other because of a lot of rumors and a lot of perceptions that was passed on about me, and because of the background in which she grew up. So she was taken care by a single mother who was very, very protective, still is, um, and beautifully, she's bringing up two daughters, um, of which one I took off. The other one is still there. I'm very proud of her as well. So we did not like each other initially. And then, like I said, when I was growing, pastor decided to make me the youth pastor of the church. So I was the youth leader. And I used to have a group of 25, 40 people coming together, worshiping. And, I used to preach, and he gave me a platform to do that, to mentor a few people. I've got like 3 or 4 people I still mentor. I absolutely love them. I'm sure they're here. Um, and Pastor decided to give me Manisha as my co-partner to help me manage, because we used to have games and activities, and she is outstanding when it comes to creativity.
Wow.
Like single-handedly, she can decorate the whole church without spending a fortune. Like you give her a budget of 1,000 rupees, she can literally transform the whole place. So I needed her because we used to do events and stuff. So we needed her, and we started to work with each other. But then again, the fact that do not like each other, or we could not stand each other, was affecting our ministry. So one day I pulled out the chair and I sat with her and I said, this is not happening. Um, we have to sort out our differences. So whatever your misconceptions are about me and whatever misconceptions I have about you, you pour it out, I'll pour it out. Let's talk. So she started doing that. I started doing it. And once we started talking, we figured out that most of the things that we knew about each other was absolutely false. Some of it was here and there true, but most of it, like 90% of it, was false. It was not even true. Um, and then we started to talk, and I don't know how. Still, I don't know how, but eventually we fell in love with each other. We took it to our families first, who were not in agreement, because they had heard the same rumors, but then I never had an opportunity to sit and explain to them that this was not true. So they were not in agreement, my family and her family. Then we took it to our pastors, our leaders. Um, they were in shock at first because we are like poles apart. Like there was nothing common in us. Um, but then they said, you guys are mature, you guys are grown up. If you guys think so, if your family is willing, um, then we have no objection. So the biggest challenge that we had was to convince our families, which we did. It was a nightmare. I don't intend to disclose a lot of it, but my family was okay. Eventually, our family, it took a lot of time. It took around 6 months of proper grilling and interviewing, and
Oh,
yeah, I had a lot to prove. So, but then eventually it all fell in place. And the wedding day, I remember because we didn't have enough money, and we decided. So Manisha used to keep telling me, you know what? I understand you don't have money. I understand we don't have money, because she used to work 3 jobs to run the house. Uh, how much did I score in 12th? 53%. So she used to work 3 jobs to make things happen, to take care of her family. I was like I said, working a job of 10,000. I didn't have savings. Um, and then I got the opportunity to fly to UK. So we decided to get engaged. Now we didn't have the money to do that. So I decided to book my clubhouse. मेरे घर के बाजू में club house था. So we used to live in our cousin's house, and we booked a clubhouse, but still the amount came as a bomb. So that's when I received my PF ka amount. So I used the PF ka amount for our engagement. And then I was in UK. I thought I could save up a lot of money for the wedding, but I had some other financial expenses. Keeping dad's health in mind, that was a challenge. So we didn't have the money during the wedding, but someone was more than gracious, more than happy to lend us some money for the wedding. So she always kept saying, let's just do a court marriage and let's get it done with. We'll have our loved ones around. Let's get it done with. We don't have the money for it. But then I remember how she used to sit and write down in her books, I want this to be done. Like that's her time with the Lord. And she's telling the Lord, this is what I want, this is what I want. And as a man, that was my first step, or my first responsibility towards a girl or a woman who's about to be my wife. So I made sure that she had the wedding that she dreamt of. So even though I had to borrow money from someone. We made sure that we had a wedding like she wanted it. So she went all crazy. Once she realized that okay, we are having a proper wedding, she went all bonkers. वहां पे वहां पे क्रिएटिविटी का एक बंदा था. He literally gave up his profession. I think so. He was at the verge of giving up his profession because anything and everything that he had on the table, she didn't like it. So she's like, नहीं मेरा शादी है, मेरे को ऐसा चाहिए, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, वो चाहिए, ये चाहिए, ये चाहिए, ये चाहिए. So, but nevertheless, it all fell in place. We found a beautiful venue. The decor was spot on, just like we imagined. So, like I said, I was mentoring three of these guys. They are very close to me. They still are. So I wanted them to be my best men. Now she didn't have bridesmaids at that point. Like she didn't think she had to choose three of them. But then Lord very specifically told her which three girls needs to be her bridesmaid. Their clothes, because I know how much it's gonna cost when you tell someone, okay, you're my bridesmaid, now please go and buy the gown. It's gonna
We
cost them a
can't do.
ton. So I didn't have the money then, but I said, we will do it. Just go and do it because we are like the whole thing. We were trusting on the Lord. So we said, Lord, this you have given. We are extending our faith a little bit more. Our demands are growing a little bit more. Can you please provide for that as well? But he was faithful. He provided with that as well. Again, please don't think I'm cheap, but we wanted the guest list to be as small as possible so that we don't spend a lot on the wedding. On the wedding day, I'm standing and counting how many people have turned up so that we don't exceed. And she's like, what? I know. But I want to bring out a testimony out of it. I may sound cheap, but I want to bring out a testimony out of it. We had a number of 300 people. India may no longer people have wedding of 300. We wanted 300 people. When I was finally doing the bill settlement, I asked the guys, so how many turned up? Because it looked like a lot. He said, sir, exact 300 plates went out. The exact amount. So what we kept before the Lord honored that. He made sure, and I'm pretty sure more people might have turned up, but he made sure that he was in place, that he was in control. And that, at the end of the day, it gave us so much of joy. Pastor Amit was there to help us with worship. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't want, because I have led worship in weddings. It's a nightmare to set up all the 5-piece band and then to take them off and put in the tempo and take it to church and set it up because next day is Sunday. It's all a nightmare. I know that. So I just said, Amit bhai, just come with your guitar. Lead us into worship. All I want is God's presence. I don't care. He led us in 2 songs. I remember the 2 songs that he led. So beautiful. We both worshiped the Lord. Then I had my mentor, Pastor Subi, who preached a powerful word. And then Pastor Bharat preached another short sermon. We're not used to short sermons. Lord ensured that it was a short sermon. It all fell in place. It all fell in time. It was beautiful. We loved it. And then since then, our journey has started.
So nice.
It's all good.
So what changed from India to UK?
Honestly, nothing much. I was serving people there. I'm serving people here.
So nice.
It's just different in skin color, but otherwise it's the same.
Same.
The climate is little better than what it used to be in Mumbai, but otherwise it's more or less the same.
So the last question would be that how different is Bonnie Mathew? I know that with all the questions that you have answered and your history, it shows that you were not always this humble human that people think that you are, which you are, but you were not like this. So what do you think? How different is Bonnie Mathew from the way that people think he is?
Oh, I would say in my spiritual journey, there is a 180-degree turn. This is what I was. This is where I am. In terms of behavior wise, there has been a lot of improvement as well because the Lord is constantly working on me. I'm a work in progress. But some of the crazy traits, I still keep it with me. My joking habit. Once I get along with someone, I get along like full on. I will not hold myself back. So once I get along with someone, you're my own. I am your own. You have given me the authority to tongue kichofai of yours. So all of that continues. But I would say there is a huge difference. But then again, the aim is to become more and more like Christ. The aim is to be more patient. The aim is to be more loving. The aim is to be more accepting. The aim is to be more mature. And it's a work in progress. So,
So nice.
so
So
let's see.
now we'll jump into a fun session, which is rapid fire. So you have to say fast, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Answer and one line answers only.
Okay.
UK or India and why?
UK because I'm settled and it's working good and yeah, it's like everything is in place. I don't want to change that now.
One famous human you want to meet who is alive? Anybody around the world?
Whom I would like to meet. Um, I love Chris Valentin. So
Okay.
just
Nice
just
choice.
just meet him once. That's it.
Okay. Something you could eat for a week straight.
Um, Basmati rice, dal, achar, papad, and
One
मारा
thing.
हुआ ऑमलेट नहीं नहीं वो पूरा वन थिंग एक प्लेट में आता हो आई कैन नॉट टेक एनीथिंग अवे आई कैन नॉट पुट एनीथिंग दैट थिंग आई वांट
Okay. Okay. Leading worship or preaching the word?
Ooh, um,
Fast. It's
oh
rapid.
my goodness. No, yeah, this is way too rapid. Leading,
Fast.
preaching while leading the worship.
Nice. What's the best piece of advice that you have got in your life till date? And who was it from?
Um, you can complain about how stinky and how bad the gutter is, but if you want it to look clean, you get into it and you start cleaning it yourself. And that was from Pastor Subi.
Subicha, we love you.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Um, so, three favorite words. Last question. Favorite worship postures that you have. Do it right now.
Oh, this definitely my hands goes like this, and I'll be sitting in one corner with my head in between the legs and this way. I mean, I'll be hugging my legs. I don't know if I can show you that now, but this is
Okay.
something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got that. So next is photo flashback. I'll show you a few pictures and you
Uh,
have to tell what is
mm,
it about and all that. Okay.
yeah.
Here you here you go.
Oh, that is us very, very young. My dad, mom, nothing. It's just a photo shoot. That was in the Tilak Nagar house. We had a backyard, so usme we had clicked. Yeah, that's a very, very old picture.
What is this? Barish क्यों हो
That
रही
is
है?
me. That is me being stupid because that was when I came to UK to do my masters in nursing, and I am expected to sit and work on a project. And I had bought this new laptop, and it had these cool effects in the camera. And I was experimenting. For some reason, I thought this looked cool. I clicked it and I put it on Facebook, and it's stupid. That was me just randomly. So we had a mixed culture of people coming to worship. So someone's cap was there. So I just picked it up, put it on head, and I was acting all girly and trying to be all funny. But yeah, it just looks like it backfired now.
What is this? Why
Oh,
is your body
this
so
is
hot?
that is me playing CPL. That's me bowling. I think that was my friend Joshua who clicked that picture. I loved it, and that's me post delivery. I so miss cricket. I so miss CPL. So that's the cricket tournament that our church had organized. Me and my brother, and yeah, I was bowling there.
Okay, so the last picture. Oh no, it's not the last. Tell me about the.
That's clicked by my best friend Jason. I went for an eye test, and you know the stupid thing that they keep doing, where all the lenses look exactly the same. Can you read the P? Can you read the Q? And I'm like confused. Everything looks the same. Yeah, so that's my expression.
Okay, now the last picture, which is one of my favorites. Tell me about
Yeah.
this.
Oh, this is Pastor Subi. Thank you so much for this. This is our. We intended for a pre-wedding shoot, but then this turned out to be on our wedding cards, which we had hand designed and we had sent it out to people because we didn't have the money to print out proper cards. So Pastor Subi helped us with these pictures, some really good ones. We've got it all framed in our house. So yeah, that was Pastor Subi helping us. It was a struggle, but he made it happen. So thank you, Subi Acha.
So nice. So last questions are few assumptions about you. You just have to say if it's right or wrong. Okay, we'll do it fast as the time is running. Yes or
Okay.
no? That's it. Bonnie Mathew is married.
Yes.
You can be on full lazy mode if you want to.
Yes.
Bonnie Mathew is a eager human.
What does that mean? Eager human?
You're an eager human. You're eager for everything. That kind of a thing.
Not exactly.
Okay, it's a no. He is 6'3" in height.
6'1".
Okay. Bonnie loves photography.
I love photography, but I was not good
Yes
at it,
or
but
no?
now I'm learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
yes,
Acha,
yes,
acha.
yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Are you a pastor?
Not ordained, but yes.
Okay. You are an extravagant person.
I'm assuming that means lively. If that's yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Last assumption, which is Bonnie Mathew, after coming to home from work, cooks food for his wife and also washes the dishes.
Washes the dishes, yes. Cooks food, no. She cooks it and she keeps it ready for me.
Okay, that's the end. Now, before ending it, you want to say something and end it? You want to say something or?
No, I absolutely love this. This was very unique. This has happened for the first time. Thank you for all the love and all the respect and all the adoration that I'm receiving through the comments. Thank you, Abdela, for giving me this opportunity. I've never had my face on a poster. You know how nervous I was before this. But yeah, thank you so much. Just continue to pursue the Lord. Again, like I said, it's about the relationship. It is not about the stage, the mic, or the opportunity to preach and etc. It's all
True.
about the relationship. I read this somewhere else, but I had heard this long back that don't be eager to promote your anointing. Your anointing will promote you. It will take you to
Amen.
places. If God thinks you're worthy enough of leading someone somewhere, yeah. First, like I said, be led and then lead.
Yes.
I'm done.
Thank you, Achacha, for joining in. Thank you, people, for tuning in. Hope you are blessed by it. He's a beautiful person. Go follow him. His handle is Bonnie Mathew.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He is a beautiful worship leader. And also, tune in next Monday for another new episode of Tales to Testimony. I'll see you there.
Yes.
God bless you. This is Real Humans, Real Stories, and Real Hearts. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye. God bless you guys.